Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse. I'm here, per usual, with my main man, Justin Harrell. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be talking some general sports news in Cleveland and mainly Brown stuff, as always. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, the Browns are hot right now. I feel like that's what most of you like seeing. We know that the Cavs content is a little stale, and baseball's just long, so there's not a
Yep.
whole lot to talk about there. You can't really make big implications, big statements as far as the Indians go. But hopefully we have some news there about, maybe a name change. But for today, I think this is just going to be called general Browns news, just some Browns updates. We got three things on tap. We got the Jarvis Landry charity softball game. That was pretty sweet. We have Sheldon Richardson officially as of June 15th, this recording today, June 15th, 2021, officially signing with the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to talk about that. And also June 15th, 2021, first day of minicamp, mandatory minicamp. We got some good news to report on there as far as attendance, but we're going to get the fun and entertainment out of the way first. So I'm not sure how much you saw of the media coverage of the softball game, Justin, but I saw a lot of it. It looked like a lot of fun. It looked like, the main stage Baker, kind of, how his personality is. How did you feel about, as far as doing it in Cleveland? It was in Eastlake. It was on the east side of Cleveland. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel that really brought together the city even before, any glimpses of NFL football?
Yeah, I mean, so we're just starting to get into that kind of state of normalcy again where people are allowed to tailgate and allowed to gather. People
Right.
are finally allowed to have full attendance at the baseball stadiums and all that. And so people were tailgating, I believe, 5 or 6 hours before the game ever started. And this is for a celebrity charity baseball game we're talking about, but obviously it's filled with a bunch of Brown stars. And like you said, obviously there's a lot of the points that we could talk about, but obviously the big one just being Baker kind of, being in his element. He's a little bit of a showboat and everything. A couple years ago at the Indians game, he's up there shotgunning on the big screen.
Yep.
And then here he's out here hitting dingers,
Mm-hmm.
making a show of it. Obviously, had guys like Travis Kelce come in from KC and Henry Ruggs from Las Vegas. A lot of names here. Obviously, Jarvis and Odell are there. It's Jarvis's game, but it was just good to see a lot of the commotion and a lot of the hype being brought before training camp and being brought before the season. So I enjoyed the coverage of it a lot.
I was loving every second of it, every video I saw on Twitter and Instagram. But I really do think I am a firm believer that just because of stuff like that, I feel like as far as like the city and how Cleveland Browns football is perceived, Baker really is like the forefront of it. But I do think that Jarvis Landry really is, even if he's behind the scenes, he's the glue that keeps everything together.
Yeah.
He's the ever persistent leader. And this is just something that I wish that cities, I mean, I'm not familiar with other markets and other teams, obviously, but I just wish teams in general just did more stuff like this. I
Yeah.
know that it's I mean, I don't really even think it's risky though, as far as, they want to preserve players' health, but I mean, it's softball, it's a home run derby, it was chill. I didn't really see a whole lot of, crazy athletic plays going on.
I did see Miles, come around third and try to I don't know who was the catcher and who was guarding home plate there, but he definitely decked someone, which was pretty funny to watch him. I mean, we've seen him play basketball and we know what he
Yep.
does there. So getting into a little bit of baseball, showing
Right.
Kevin another sport that he's probably going to make him retire from. So
Yeah, but I think that this is something that, even if, let's say, Jarvis doesn't end his career here, or, if he's gone in a couple of years, I still think this is something that he would think about coming back and doing like on a yearly basis, even, after he was retired. I just think that's the love that he shows for the city. And I was glad that there was such a big turnout. And I completely forget that we are finally getting back to being able to do, close to normal gatherings. So
right.
that was really good to see. But
There's
now
something
we're
that I
gonna
want to bring out
go ahead. Go
as
ahead.
something that it's quite frequently brought up, and this is going to be like a topic for maybe later in later before the season, later after the season, or
Hmm.
sometime in a couple years. But Travis Kelsey is a huge Cleveland guy. This
Dude.
man, this man comes back to Cleveland when the season's over and just like hangs out. And
Mhm.
I think it's a nice little thing to put out there that one day I hope when he's done in KC or when he's got some time left in his career, he makes a return to Cleveland.
Oh man, he's the one guy. He's the one guy in the league that I truly wish like we could have like somehow got him.
Yeah.
I know that he was, he's pretty much the breakout, superstar that not a whole lot of people were looking at him coming out of the University of Cincinnati, I believe, and he
Yep.
didn't even play tight end until he got to college, I think. So it's kind of like there's no way we could have known. But as far as him being from this area, that's someone that I 100% I would agree with. That I wish he would come over to our side. But imagine
Yeah.
if he was on the roster. But we're going to be talking about someone who's not going to be on the roster. Quick flip up into some. It's good news, it's bad news. It's how the game works. It's how it's how pro sports works. It's how organizations are run. It's the business side of football. But it is official today. Sheldon Richardson is signing a 1-year, $3.5 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings, with the incentives, that could range up to closer to $5 million. Me and Justin were talking about this earlier, in text on Twitter. I truly think that this could be maybe Andrew Berry's first mistake as general manager, as far as hindsight being 2020. I told Justin I really respect the risk of going out and getting Clowney. I think that that's something that I can applaud as far as what's happened so far with that move. But in a year, we could be looking back on it and saying we probably should have kept Sheldon Richardson and not let him walk. Maybe just restructured. Justin, how do you
Yeah.
feel about this?
I mean, Sheldon, as we see in that contract, he's getting a significant amount less than what he was getting
Mm-hmm.
paid with us. Obviously, his money went to Jadeveon Clowney's contract. And Minnesota's the team that he came from originally, and that he was, where we ended up
True.
getting him from and paying him that much money from initially. And like I told you, Jeff, honestly, it depends on how he plays individually and how our D tackles and Jadeveon Clowney play as a unit. So, like you said, hindsight's 2020, and we won't know until the end of this season. But I'm with you on the fact that, the ambition it took for Andrew Berry to go out and make the moves that he did with those two players in mind and the defensive tackle position in general, it's something to obviously monitor, but also just be like, hey, like he took a swing here and we'll see if it's a miss or a hit later on.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. Man, saving money there would have been big. I know that I have said, recently in Sheldon Richardson videos that I wanted to go all out and try to bring everyone on, but that was under the assumption that maybe we could have made it work with both him and Clowney. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what Sheldon Richardson gave us last year for restructuring down to in between 3 and 4 million, and then your whole, if we could have got that done before the draft, and then your whole kind of scouting shifts toward the draft of maybe getting an edge rusher, which it might have been tricky at our spot, but it's a totally different ball game. It's all, nobody's got the crystal ball. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So I think Andrew Berry's still in the clear. I'm still giving Andrew Berry, close to that 10 out of 10 A+ rating as
Yep.
far as I'm concerned. A year from now, we're going to look back at it. But just to wrap it up a little bit, like I said earlier, mandatory mini camp started today. So we do have some good news to report on this side. I feel like that, there's players, great players, guys that are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers who are not attending these. Obviously, it's very situational and circumstantial, but Aaron Rodgers is not showing up to these. But then you have other good players, great players who are coming to these mini camps that are mandatory. But it is good to report that Clowney has checked in. We've seen video of Myles Garrett. Odell Beckham Jr. is there. Just some of your bigger names, but some small concerning things that we saw last year in minicamp. We know that Anthony Schwartz has been very cordial with the trainers so far, even in the rookie camps and the voluntary stuff. And Tony Fields, who I believe is a linebacker that they have listed as, has also been with the training staff. But Justin, just quick commentary about the turnout that we've seen in the first day of minicamp.
Yeah, obviously we had the discussion about OTAs obviously being optional, and that a lot of these guys that we're talking about now were not there. Mostly
Yep.
offensive guys, the entirety of the starting offensive group wasn't there at OTAs and now is here at mandatory mini camp. That's great to see, especially Odell. And yeah, there's a little bit of some of these guys sitting out of the 11-11s because, it's not that important right now to get those sessions in. But it's great to have the turnout. Obviously, the guys that you listed that are on the sidelines aren't key players, which is a great thing. Obviously, I'm sure people want to see Anthony Schwartz do well and see what he does this season. But again, not a huge key player in what the overall scheme of our game plans will be. So honestly, just great to have mandatory minicamp start and get us that much closer to the season.
Yeah, definitely some good notes there. I mean, just wild. I mean, modern day, rehabilitation upon ACL injuries just will forever blow my mind. But apparently, I saw, a tweet from a reputable source: no knee brace or anything on the leg of Odell Beckham Jr. So, I mean, that's insane for how fresh he is off that injury. Let's hope that he's playing it smart. He's not going over the top, which I know he's a competitor, so it might be tough to hold him back, but I am hoping that that's not another problem we're going to run into. Hopefully he's taking the necessary steps, but we're just ready for the season to get here. I know you are, I know I am, and we're closing in on, 80 days. So that's very exciting, but Justin, anything else?
No, sir. Great as always.
All right. So, like I said, drop a subscribe on our channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Throw a comment underneath. How did you feel about the Jarvis Landry softball game? How do you feel about mini camp? Are you excited to attend some of the stuff that the Browns are going to have in Berea? Hopefully they're letting people into that. I believe they should be. But as far as we're concerned, we are the Cleveland Pulse, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.